Medical affairs ain't what it used to be, and neither is the MAPA Medical Affairs Summit. In this episode of Off Label, I'm joined by Summit co-chair Debra Bourke and special guest flying all the way in from Europe, Maaike Addicks, two absolute legends and powerhouses helping shape one of the most impactful events on the Aussie pharma calendar. We talk international insights, the rise of soft skills, and why this year's summit is more heist movie than health symposium. Strategic, high stakes, and absolutely unmissable. Let's get into it. Debra, Maaike, welcome to Off Label. It's great to have you here. How are you both doing today? Or this morning, Maaike, and this afternoon, Debra?
Great. Thanks, Steve. Awesome to be here.
Really well, Steve. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bit more to talk about when it comes to inviting you because not only have you been invited to this podcast, but you've also been invited as a key speaker at the event. So this event, of course, that we're here to talk about is the MAPA Medical Affairs Summit for Australia. And it's a truly remarkable event. And I've got my own reasons that I think that, and I'll volunteer them later on. But before, this isn't about me, I have to keep reminding myself we have two very exceptional, experienced medical affairs professionals with me today. And to put you both under the pump straight away, let's kick things off with a tiny little bit of fun. And if this upcoming MAPA Medical Affairs Summit in Sydney were a movie, which genre would that movie be? For example, would it be like an action thriller that's fast-paced and no fluff? Or an independent doco that's real and thoughtful and surprising, or something like that. What angle do you think we'd be going for?
Oh, I've already got one, and it's too funny that you asked that because I don't know if you remember that the 2024 summit was held at the ICC as well, and they launched Gladiator 2.
That's
with
right.
a red carpet event. At the actual summit timing last year. So it's rather timely that you're asking this.
Yeah, good point.
In my thoughts, it's one of two things. It's either an epic adventure where it does bring together all the industry leaders and professionals and it offers transformative experiences through diverse sessions and leadership and collaboration and innovation. Or I had a bit of thought about it as well and thinking it might be a combination of like an indie drama coming of age story where you've got that thoughtful, layered, quietly powerful, leaving you thinking type long after it's over scenario. But you've also got growth and change and learning who you are and becoming stronger for it. I'm sort of split here. So
sounds like a pretty amazing movie.
Go down the middle.
Yeah, if there is a movie with that description comes out, I'm buying a lot of stock in that one.
MAPA Summit 2025.
Yeah, I dig it. Gee, we've come a long way since the original Medical Affairs Symposium by the sounds of things. Maaike,
absolutely.
Really keen to hear your take on this one.
Well, Debra, I'm not sure how to top that one. I guess
just laid out the gauntlet. Speaking of Gladiator.
Yeah,
I know. Gosh. Yeah, look, I'm probably a little bit more simple, but possibly also a little bit more aggressive. So I would think it would be more of a heist movie, one of those movies where we pretty much take over the world.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So,
I like it.
Yeah, the type where we get together, we make a plan, we build something. Usually something is built, right? I'm also a very big MacGyver fan for the people that are old enough to know what that means.
No, I'm right with you. Big fan.
So yeah, that's what I would say. Either way, I think, whether or not it would be Debra's movie or mine, I think it would end very well for us.
What do you think, Steve?
Sounds like a pretty exceptional. I think it's a double header, double feature event. Nice. I really like both aspects there, particularly the heist as well, Maaike, and taking over the world. It does seem medical affairs has been on this journey for the last decade or so, where it was once the country cousin in the room, and then now the strategic pillar.
If I can say something to that, Steve, I completely agree with you. I think we're growing. I think with that, though, also expectations are growing. And this is one of the reasons why we need to get together and work together to really make that happen.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. Well, this is the forum in which to do that, without a doubt. So is that kind of the reason why this event matters to you both so much personally? I can feel the passion coming out of either of you as you speak about this event right now early on. Debra, why does this event matter to you so much?
Well, also given the fact that I'm on the executive committee of MAPA and I have a role in steering this conference, but one of the reasons I joined MAPA was because of this summit and what we do. And It's basically, regardless of who you are and regardless of the type of company you come from, whether the size of the company, whether it's small, large, if it's a biotech or if it's an industry or a big pharma, big immunologic, big small molecule, whatever. Each of the medical functions in those companies have the aligned goals in a medical affairs function to have the best quality use of medicine, to work together, to be strategic, to enable the best use of what we can for our doctors and our patients that take our medications. And so bringing everyone together, it's sort of like if you're a small company, it's like you're all of a sudden a big company for those 2 days where you can feed off of each other, you can learn from each other's experience, their energy, and you can apply all of those insights to your own work. And personally, that's why I enjoy coming to the summit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The groupthink that occurs in these types of environments and generates some really interesting thought, and you take those back to your organisation. You can implement things almost straight away, particularly if you are a small organisation that is agile. Maaike, love to hear why you're excited about this year's event.
I completely agree with Debra. I think it's a perfect opportunity to get together, to learn from each other, sharing best practices. Indeed, especially I think in the smaller companies, can be a bit lonely if you're, the only one in this role having all that responsibilities. I also think it's very important that sometimes, we take a few days out just for our own development. And this is the perfect opportunity to do that because we're always busy. Like I've never met a medical affairs person who has all the time in the world. So we rarely have time to work on ourselves. And I think this is a really good opportunity to do that.
Definitely. You touched on the career development, really important. Also the smaller companies. Often you do say you do feel a bit lonely, you are overburdened, but often the smaller companies, particularly the rare disease, the niche medicines that are starting up now, particularly in Australia, start off with mainly a medical affairs function to get things sorted. So you're even more lonely without those additional functions in the company to lean on. Debra, what led you to the selection of this year's key speakers being invited, one of which, of course, is our guest online right now?
And my esteemed colleague on the call, Maaike.
Indeed.
I think what we wanted to, I'm really excited by the fact that this year we don't have one speaker, we don't have two speakers, but we have three keynote speakers. We chose inspirational speakers like Dr. Ben Bravery from the whole patient to doctor experience, and that really bringing in that expertise that he has and that insights that he does bring from being the patient, journeying through everything and becoming then the medical doctor. And also Dr. Norman Swan, I don't know if Maaike may not be aware, but Dr. Swan was instrumental during COVID here in Australia. He did a weekly or a daily podcast.
It was daily. I was tuning in every day.
Every
to that
day.
One. Yeah, it was
called the Corona
so
Cast.
Yeah.
And for him, in terms of dispelling myths and being able to accurately portray scientific information and communicate the value to listeners, regardless of their expertise or experience themselves, that to me was a deal breaker that I needed to make sure that we got him involved so that we could help our medical affairs professionals with the soft skills of the narrative of scientific storytelling and really bringing home that expertise to them. And then for Maaike, she's got so many followers around the medical affairs industry around the world, and some of my colleagues in the steering committee had worked with Maaike in the past and spoke nothing but praise about what she could offer. And I, having a chemistry background, personally love your medical affairs table of the periodic table that you published. You might have to put the link online under this, Steve, for later on for those for referencing.
It's a fantastic piece.
So for me, when I saw that was who we were getting as well in this, I was very excited and very privileged to be able to gather these amazing speakers for this summit this year.
Yeah, indeed. Just what are we in store for, Maaike? What are you going to bring to the table?
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm very flattered. Thank you. I think we can also establish I have no life whatsoever. So, I just, I work and then at night I make tables and board games. It's a sad thing, actually.
Such is the dedication. No, it's good. We'll make sure your social calendar lights up a bit in Sydney in September.
Yeah, good one. Look, I'm hoping to bring a bit of international experience. I think a lot of people indeed in Europe and the US are looking at what you are all doing. I work with a lot of people in Europe, so I kind of know what's happening there. I sometimes also work with US teams. So I'm hoping to bring that to you. And specifically what we'll be doing is a workshop on looking at the ways we work, because I think we all work in companies where the ways that we work have been around for a long time. And not always have they been adjusted to us growing and becoming more important. So we're still trying to fit into these little, boxes, if you will, that were there and that were perfectly okay, 15 years ago, but no longer fit us. So that's what we'll be looking at during a workshop. And also I'm very honored to be doing the closing keynote, and I'll be hopefully inspiring everyone to proactively go out and change their lives.
I've no doubt you will. I think it's really good you mentioned the bringing the international lens to the room. It's great to have these local think tanks where we all get together and talk about what we're doing, but there's a lot happening elsewhere. So to bring that over here, as opposed to the Australians that are travelling over there to get that sort of experience, will be immensely valuable to anyone in the room, I'm sure. So we've kind of touched on it a little bit already in terms of what this conference is going to bring. That I have a little bit to add. Maybe this one's focused more on Debs because, Maaike, this is your first. But there are conferences and there are conferences, and believe you me, I know a lot of them. What is it, in your opinion, Deb, sorry, I'm calling you Debs. I sound way too familiar. Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine.
What is it that sets this one apart from the others?
I think you touched on it in that we're a group of medical affairs professionals of Australasia. We're a region that punches above our weight when it comes to anything. A lot of the internationals, as Maaike has put, look at what we're doing in Australia, but we're also keen to see what they're doing overseas. A lot of the rest of the industry conferences in Australia, without offence, don't focus specifically on medical affairs. And so this is the unique, standout, comprehensive conference that addresses the key challenges, opportunities, and development in medical affairs. We have peers teaching peers, and we have amazing keynotes. We had more than 34 submissions this year of such amazing quality, and blinded reviews ended up having 21 sessions on the agenda, which we're so proud of.
It's incredible.
And we've got such a diverse range of keynotes, workshops, panels, best practice sessions, time to network between them all too. That's something we listened to you all from last year, that we were running between sessions. We've actually factored in more networking time in between so that we can actually learn from each other and hopefully fill in our date card at the end of the conference by putting actual people to the LinkedIn profiles that we've had as friends, but also then getting new colleagues and networks on our LinkedIn profiles down the track.
Yeah, I agree with everything you've just said. Firstly, the getting the huge variety of session topics into just a medical affairs conference. We're just focused on medical affairs, but there's so many elements and things going on that deserve a session to themselves. So that's always good. But you talk about the networking element, and something that I've noticed, and it's a huge string to the bow for the MAPA organisation, is the just genuine enthusiasm in the room for people to meet new people and speak with each other. And from a vendor's point of view, find out what everybody's doing and who are the new providers and what does this company do and how can we use that. And I do believe that as a per capita, so to speak, you get a bigger turnout at this event than basically any event I've ever seen. There's only, I think, 600 medical affairs professionals in Australia registered, and you get close to half of that at your conference. So it's a real string to your bow. You've all built such a great event. So let's have a look without giving too much away. Debra and Maaike, is there any unexpected moments planned for this particular year? What's going to inspire people to come along?
I think the professional development side of things, I think it was really surprising to us that in the medical affairs area, from all the submissions that we got this year, we actually got a lot of submissions in the soft skills.
Okay,
which is fantastic, because there's obviously a need for us as a group to learn from each other and to help each other in the soft skills, which I talked about before in terms of the science of communication with Dr. Norman Swan, for example. There was so many sessions that were suggested that were around leadership, soft skills, growth, development, metrics, all of the things that are the medical excellence capabilities and competencies that we're looking for. And to grow on last year's launch of the Medical Affairs Competency and Capability Framework, I think that's been quite eye-opening to us. But also a lot of information around the patient and keeping the patient at centre. So there's a lot of sessions that are around that patient experience from personal stories that we'll hear from at the conference, as well as with Dr. Ben Bravery as well. So I think it's surprising that we've got a lot of those soft skills, and it's surprising that we've got the patient stories, but it's great that we're bringing them all together.
Indeed. I mean, the industry's been talking about it for too long. The soft skills side of things took a while to take wing. I polled a room at Reuters from the medical affairs track not long ago, 2 years, I'd say, and say how many believe it's important for medical affairs to have the soft skills. And it was less than half of the room put their hand up. It was just about the science. But that narrative has evolved, and for very good reason. And of course, putting the patient at the centre. People have been talking about listening to the patient for decades. Now it finally seems to be happening, and it's maybe at the behest and the urgency from the medical affairs folk leading that. So what do we want people to feel when they leave? The last session's over. It's time to go home. Do you want them to be sad that it's over, inspired and keen to get back to work? What's the parting emotion that people are going to take away at the closing time after, Maaike, your wonderful speech?
Oh, well, one is I hope they will be absolutely exhausted because they have made the most of those 2 days, both networking, but also just being really, really active in the sessions, because that's how we learn best. And also, inspired. I think this is in our own hands. And I think in this conference, there's all the tools you need to really advance your own role in your own company. So that's what I'm hoping.
Sounds good. And we're going to finish off on this one last little question. I'm going to point it to you, Debra, or Debs, as I now affectionately refer to you as. If, for anyone listening, if we're speaking directly to them, if you miss this summit, you'll regret it. Because
you will have no idea who all of those LinkedIn people are that have actually reached out to you from attending it. That's a bit of a flippant response, but I really do think the networking opportunities and the ability to engage with colleagues, no matter where they're from, you lose the opportunity to feel connected if you don't go to this conference.
I think it's a great answer. The community side of things is what MAPA MAP's Summit is the standout attribute from my experience in past ones going by, and I'm sure this year will be no exception. So, Maaike, Debra, Debs, thanks so much. It's been wonderful speaking with you both. And for everybody listening, if you're keen to hear from some inspirational, highly credible keynote speakers, if you want a wide variety of topics that you can choose from within the medical affairs function, and of course, if you want to build your network and benefit from the grouping that happens with a really strong community of wonderful thinkers and dedicated medical affairs professionals, well, this is one you really can't miss. So, guys, thanks again so much. Can't wait to see you both in September.
Thank you.
And, best of luck until then.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.